Happy Easter. This is last week we called it a dahlia. Now it's a amethyst. I think amethyst. Blanche will have to yell and tell me the right name. Uh, what? Amaryllis. Amaryllis. Uh, it bloomed this week. Last week I called it an alien. It was just a stalk, and it came to life this week. And we've been having a dialogue every day as I walk by it. I touch it, it touches me. There is a sense of communion, a sense of unexplored newness, stuff I never knew in the world that came through with total silence. And the fact that it's arrived in the world, especially on Easter, is remarkable. And I will expand that a little bit in that this was totally alive and well a year ago and blooming. And then it went into a complete death spiral, if you will. It turned into nothing more than a bulb. It was just a bulb. And we did not know if it would ever return to life. And Blanche watered it every day, cared for it every day. And here we are. And there are two more about to arrive. So I'll put this away. Looking for symbolism on Easter Sunday, death and rebirth is a story at the core of the human journey, especially in Western culture, especially in the last 2,000 years. But it's not new to the human race. There is a remarkable sense of story. We are all products of story, of our own story, really, the story we're programmed with by our parents, families, friends, enemies. We're all programmed to think of ourselves in a particular way. And then we're all led to know that through observation alone, that this strange journey that we're on has an ending. And some of us look at that ending directly. Most people look elsewhere, turn on the TV, take a few drinks, anything, but looking directly at what's ahead of you. And of course, that's totally understandable. And I watch most people that I know live in the distraction, in the endless distraction of life until it comes to a point where it's hard to be distracted. And what starts happening is, of course, the dissolution of the mind, of the memory, of the life story, of everything you've known about who you are, and you start to retreat into this kind of bulb, this inert thing, or it appears to be inert, that we call death. A kind of loss of everything that you've known, everything that you've cared about, everything that has meaning and value starts to erode. And you are left with, especially if you're a completely external being lost in the material world, you're left with confusion, anger, hostility, sense of emptiness, of nothingness. And there is great sadness and suffering in that. There is real pain. And leaving the world in pain is scary for human beings. It's bad enough that we live with pain in our lives, but the pain that accrues at the end of life is nothing we quite prepare for. And yet it's completely in the doctrine of human existence that at the end, you will be asked to say goodbye to every element of your story. The birth, the middle part, the fun, the joy, the misery, all of you have to say goodbye to all of it. And that word impermanence, which is at the core of Buddhist teaching, is really the essence of what we're experiencing here. We are an impermanent creature. We have only a brief stay in the world. And that stay is complicated and difficult. And we like to think we're improving the world and making it better. And in many ways, we are. We live in a time and space of enormous comfort for human beings. We have homes that let light in and keep the heat in. We have homes that shelter us from the rains and the winds and the storms. We have automobiles that drive us across the country that we live in. We have electricity that brings light in the middle of darkness. So we're pretty lucky creatures, and we have created all this, and we're still creating more and more, as you are aware every day. If you just pick up your cell phone, it's like, what's this? Where's this going? But we're also very much still part of an ancient historical drama. The world has never been other in a sense than what it is right now, although I would have to say the darkness of past periods still exists in our lives. It exists in parts of the world that we are aware of through broadcast news. We are aware of darkness erupting even in the midst of our own lives here in the United States. And and then you look at the world of 2,000 years ago when there was so much suffering, where people who were accused of crimes were nailed to crosses. And, that doesn't happen exactly anymore. We've moved beyond that. But the forces that nail people to crosses are still in play. They don't go away from the world. And there is a way of getting confused by and lost in that drama, the drama that surrounds all human life, that there is good and evil, light and dark, all of those things, and what to do with that. And I will tell you, and you've heard this before, if you live only in the external, it is a place of great drama, and it's compelling beyond belief. Wonderful stories, terrible stories, joy and misery, all of that stuff going on all the time. But every so often, you are reminded, if you're lucky, especially perhaps on Easter Sunday, that there is an inner world. There's an inner place that those of us who feel abandoned by life, by God, by the world, and everything around us suddenly may discover that there is a journey toward rebirth, toward renewal, to reemergence, if you will. And it seems to come through this teaching of forgive them, they know not what they do. This idea of reaching out into the world that is not beautiful and bringing this love and beauty and comfort and forgiveness and all of these extraordinary qualities of being back into the world around you. And that helps you make peace with the world. Then there is the journey of going deep inside and discovering something that wants to bloom. You discover this extraordinary sense of what we will just call life, core level life. And it is beyond extraordinary. This journey into living, to being alive, to being in a manifested world is so extraordinary. And the reason we're here, well, I mean, go to stories. There are millions of stories. Everyone else has a story about why we're here, what we're supposed to be doing, what we want to do, what we're not able to do, all of the stuff of life. But the incredible thing is there is life. And I know this may sound corny, but it is not a corny thing. It is phenomenally, extraordinarily real. And it's happening as I speak, as you listen. We are alive in this, whatever this is. And if you want to know what this is, you can look at it and examine it all day long. And you will look at like, oh my God, it's amazing, it's terrible, it's beautiful, it's horrible, and all that. But if you start to go inside and you start to find wholeness and balance deep within yourself, you will start to see source, if you will. You will start to see the bulb out of which this flower emerges. And if you go into that profound space inside, it roots you. It gives you a sense of, I am connected to something beyond words, even though God knows I try to put them into words. It's not speakable. It's just a knowing. You go deep into this comfort zone that goes yes to the totality of what's going on around you. It's really interesting to be a creature. to be a creature, because that's all we are. We're creatures. We're arms and legs, and we move and we eat and we breathe and we make love and we fight people and we struggle with stuff. But we're just creatures. And most of us don't sense ourselves as creatures because we're so caught up in the movie of life, in the drama of life. But it's really important to pull back, go deep inside and go, oh yeah, I am the witness to the story. I am not the story. Or I am, if you will, both the witness and the story. But the truth is, I arise out of something into this enormity of being, and then I return to this thing, which, if you are in practice, if you are meditatively practicing, when you go back to the source, it's not a surprise. It's not a drama. It's like a welcome. It's like, go back to who you are. If you are totally living in the outer and you're doing terrible things or even good things, and you're lost and attached and dramatically involved in the world, and then you're pulled back into this deeper space and you're going, no, 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 no. It's terrible suffering. It's really hard. It's terrible suffering for people. And how to get out of that suffering? Well, you begin early if you can, some of you later, but you begin to do this thing of going in there and witnessing witnessing the movie, the projector, if you will, of the movie in your life and going, oh. And then you can go back into the movie, but you will be in the movie differently than you would be if you did not know it was a movie. You will be a character aware of your role in the world, in the movie, and you will play a better part. You will be a better actor. You will be a better person. You will be a more loving, forgiving, allowing human being. And then you will discover that you are starting to alter the story so that even though horrible things are going on around you, you, in your moment to moment reality with other human beings, are experiencing something really beautiful, something that could make you cry, something that makes you go, this is a great story. I'm so grateful to be part of this story. And it's not about achievement. It's not about how perfect your life is. It's about meeting life as it is, living as a creature in a universe that is phenomenal, phenomenal in its manifestation. And how do we get to know what this even is? I mean, I know if you try to cognate it and just get it through the brain, it's phenomenal and strange and bizarre, but it's only the manifested reality. The thing that's bringing it into being is much more extraordinary. And if you tap source while you sit and go through your day, that fills this world and starts to give it kind of directionality. It starts to explain it to you. You know, AI is starting, I'm told, to come up with these things where you will just look at things and it will tell you what you're seeing. So you can look at a flower and it'll go click, 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 and tell you the name of the flower. You can look at a mountain out there and it'll tell you the name of the range. It will tell you what's coming in the next 2 weeks in terms of weather, and it will give you so much information. It already is happening on your phone, but there will be times where it will just feed into the system and you will be totally connected to the outer. But all I'm saying is, where did that come from? Where does this AI power come from? It comes from us. It comes from deeply within us. It is arising out of the human experience. It informs the human experience. It may make it cozier and more beautiful. It may make it, bizarre beyond belief. But the place it arises from is the center of our being, and it is the knowing space. It understands, it experiences the truth of what this strangeness is all about and what this beauty is all about. And if you allow yourself to begin to go there now, to work this system so you can go inside and live a balanced life between the inner and the outer, you will experience this wonder that is way beyond the narrative story of your brain and your mind and your curiosity and your cognitive self. You will start to know things that will appear to be, in a way, the source of wisdom, the source of aha. It doesn't cognate necessarily. It doesn't give you like this and this equals that. It just gives you the truth of being. And you go, ah, Ah, because it's so whole, it's so incomprehensible. It does not allow you to put it all into specific words. It just gives you itself. And it is a beautiful, well, I'm going to call it a beautiful self. You know, you may see it differently. It's definitely not one or another. It's a fullness, it's a complexity, and it's a singularity. And we are that singularity. And going toward that, finding that, living that is kind of the purpose of your story. But most of us are distracted. It's really fascinating for me right now to be working with so many new people because I'm seeing how easy access I have to people I've been around for a long time because I know their story and I also kind of know the pathway. People who are new, I'm meeting without story at all. You're just showing up and you're showing up on Zoom. Let me explain. That's very weird being with people on Zoom and trying to find entry into their psyche, their mind, their heart, their being. But it's available. It's available, but it's a different process for me in a sense because I can't use anything at all but higher energy. I can't go into your story. I can't go into, oh, you've been through this and you've been through that, which is what opens us to people. Even your physicality is, you know, it's only a momentary picture of who you are. So this deeper force really allows itself to penetrate to the degree that you welcome it. Some of you are extraordinarily welcoming. You just open up and you say, "Come on in," and others of you are sort of watching, going, "Really? Is that what's he doing now? Is that exactly that kind of little bit of noise factor that absolutely deflects the energy?" And the energy is wise and smart, and it knows how to kind of circle around it. But it's a dance that can be simplified by your showing up in a really deep and profound way. In order to do that, let go of your story, let go of the drama, let go of all of the stuff that's making you sit down in the first place, and just show up, just be. And then ask for help to go deeply inside and watch where this thing goes. And I will tell you, when you touch these chords of inner specificity, of kind of the sound that comes through is the right sound. You know it because you can hear it and it's beautiful. When you touch that place, the energy knows that. And the energy goes there and amplifies it so that it starts to radiate out through your whole being, not only for your benefit, but for everybody around you. But it's a dance and it's an obligation on your end to make it work because all of the effort that the universe wants to make to go into you and to serve you and to make you aware only works if you're welcoming it, only works if you are open to it, only works if you are the author of your story and taking guidance from the inspiration of life itself. This is inspiration. It comes in. You know, I've been a writer for 60 years and a storyteller. And as a storyteller, I have become profoundly aware that I have very little to do with this finding the story. The story finds me. The story comes into me, and my job is nothing more than to type it out, or deliver it in some way to the world. My job is to find source and allow it to speak itself in the way that it wants to speak itself. And that's what I'm doing here. You need to do the same thing. Find your source, let that story unfold into the world, and find the extraordinary nature of it. And you will discover that we live in a remarkable space. And you are a part of a remarkable journey. Your life story is amazing. It's amazing. All you have to do is start to see it through the right story lens. And I know when I would write, I would often sit there at the typewriter, then the computer, and go, "What am I writing? What is this? Where does this go? Who are these people? Who are these characters?" And it would tell me. It would tell me. The it is what we're looking for. The it is everything. So for all the new people in class, if you keep coming back, and I hope you will, show up more and more openly and deeply and available. I'm not going to be critical here, but if you are, needing a cup of coffee or something, don't do it during class. Don't move during class because, as I said, Rudy in the old days would throw you out of the classroom for being just, even for doing this. He was just be absolutely still and surrender, surrender. And this avalanche of powerful energy will go inside you and transform your being into what it always has been. It just gets rid of the loudness and the distraction and the noise, and it makes you sort of comfortable in the deepest possible way with who you are and have always, always been. So I think that's my talk. I've kind of prepared a coda. Forgive me, and I know this is terrible sell, but yesterday I received my two books. They both arrived the first time I've ever touched them. And I was like overwhelmed by this one, which is, it's only a movie, which is my story, life story. This is Three Visionary Screenplays, which is a publication of three screenplays that never got turned into movies, but probably would be really good movies if they ever were to get made. But touching these books had a expression of joy and completion and wholeness and tactile nature that was so extraordinary for me, because trying to make things happen in the world through the higher energies or the deeper energies of your psyche is in many ways the fulfillment of human experience. And Rudy said to me, and one of his great aspects as a teacher was, life is your teacher. Performing in the world, doing the right thing, cleaning up the mess, taking out the garbage, that is your spiritual journey. Your journey in life is to manifest and complete. And he saw to it that, you may know this story, he came up with these lyrics for songs, kind of a strange lyrics, but they were really interesting. And he said, here, write a play. I want you to write the musical. Here are the lyrics, here are songs. And I went, oh, but what's it about? And he kind of gave me a vague idea. And I wrote something called Big Black Rainbow, which is what it was called. And I won't go into the nature of the story. It was a joy to write. And it was one of the first things I ever wrote in my life. And it never went anywhere. We also had composers, and we had, and Rudy was the lyricist, and we had a whole thing going. And when I took it to the Joseph Pabst Theater in New York to see if they would be interested in the script, they said, nope, nope. And it just fell away. Rudy did not have 1 ounce of sadness or disturbance that it didn't go forward. And I realized years later, he did all of this to give me a career. He did all of this to get me in motion and writing, which he knew and I sensed was my career in this lifetime. It would not have happened without his pushing the button. And he was willing to sacrifice his lyrics to make me just get to it and get to the computer and make this happen. My whole life was a result of doing the work, which Rudy talked about endlessly. And the work was, do your work in the world, do your work inside. The balance will give you a wholeness that is beyond understanding. And when I picked up my books yesterday out of these cartons that arrived, I just went, the abstract became concrete, and the concrete resonated deeply. And now I can put them on a shelf. I can give them to my grandchildren, who I really wrote them for in some way. And I have completed the journey of celebrating, if you will, documenting, presenting my life. And it's the physical version of that, having followed the directive from inside, which wanted me to do this, and having completed it, is unbelievably satisfying. So I encourage all of you to remember that your spiritual life is not just leaving the world and living in a state of abstract comfort. It's bringing that comfort back into the world, listening to the directives of your life, completing the journeys you need to complete in this world. And I mean that by meaning Make sure everyone who you love knows that you love them. Call the people who need you to express concern about them. Pick up the papers that are falling on the floor and don't leave it for somebody else. That is the spiritual journey. And the deeper you go with that and the more you complete it in the world, you will feel that you lived the life you were born to live. And trust me, that's why you're here. And it's an extraordinary thing. So I'm going to shut up. I know this goes on and on. I think because there's so many new people, I should open this up for questions if there are questions. And for those of you who don't need answers, you can sign off. But if anybody has a question, I'm open to doing it. I have two screens and I can't see both, so you may have to speak out loud if you have a question. And turn off your mute button. If no questions, I'm fine with that. You don't have to have questions. But if you do, this is your moment. Okay. No questions? Thank you. Oh, there's a question.
I have a question. Yeah, hi.
Yes.
And this probably is somewhere in a book, but I haven't read all your biography. And did you take writing classes in college or whatever, or?
Yes, I did. I took a screenwriting class at New York University, and I pretty much flunked it.
Okay.
My teacher kept telling me that there were three sources of something in every scene. And I had no idea what he was talking about, and I never figured it out. It was a theory in his mind that there were three angles to every scene, even when there was one character or two or three. And he just dismissed me. And it's not, you don't have to get guidance in that way. I mean, you should read, you should look at the movies, if that's what you're interested in, or the dramas, or the narrative, how words go together, and just do it. And if you ask for help inside, you will find you are taught, not by teachers out there, but by the teacher inside you. And you will know when it's working. You'll know when it's not working, and you will fail any number of times. But that's the great teaching. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is how you figure it out. And you keep learning and learning until you actually produce a poem, or you produce a story, or a book or a movie that actually says something. And it's really, really extraordinary. So all I can tell you is, if you're interested in writing, I'm happy to talk to you, about it. But the teaching doesn't come from outside so much; it comes from inside. Okay. Good luck. Anybody? Yes. Jerry.
When we do our daily meditation, do you suggest we do it eyes open?
Yes. Eyes open, ideally with a photograph of me or Rudy or Swami Nityananda. They're online on my, brucejoelrubin.com. Yeah. Just download one, or even just go with the computer. It is an eyes open experience. The great thing about presence in the human journey is looking at another person and connecting. And if you can do that, not just with the teacher, but ultimately with everyone around you, and see them, you do them a great favor. Very few people are seen. They're looked at through lenses that are so clouded and so full of story and disturbance that you can't get a clear picture of the other. So if you can really just open your eyes and get rid of judgment, ask for help to open, you will begin to see everyone around you. And in truth, my experience is you will fall in love with them. You will, or at least you will understand that they have been on a journey that they're lost in, they're confused by, they're suffering in. And because you see them, you can start to feel them, and you can start to embrace them. And that love, they will experience it, even if it's not physical. It just becomes what I call being present with someone. If you look at them and stay present, you will create an atmospheric reality that reshapes them and reforms them and gives them something that they're going to then want to go out to lunch with you again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Yeah, I want to say something. Shelley,
hi.
Yeah, I just miss having the rest of the class, the brunch and the talk, and I just
I miss it too. I mean, I love I love when we have it. Zoom is very, very limited in its fulfillment, but it's better than nothing. And that's how I look at it.
Yes.
I
Better
love,
than nothing.
yeah,
Yes.
a little bit better than
Yeah.
nothing.
No, it's a
But
lot better than nothing.
well, but I miss you guys. I miss Mark. I miss you being right here, sitting and having the exchange that is so potent with Rudy. You know, of course, it was always in person, and it was absolutely. I mean, the dynamism of having a room that you're sitting in no longer be on the earth, no
Mm.
longer be part of the material world. That is really incredible to be sitting in a space that becomes part of something universal. That is a great gift of an in-person class, and I treasure that. Zoom would never have happened if it wasn't for the pandemic. On the other hand, it opens the door to a lot of people who might not be able to come here. And clearly, you've been here. The room can only hold so many people. You know, I mean, Rudy's class held maybe 100 people altogether, and you know, trying to, I don't know how this works in that regard. Zoom seems to have arrived because of something greater, and it gives us a taste, but enough. It actually does go into people enough to change the equation, to change the dynamic and give them the core, whatever it is, experience and directive to take over their own life. And it's pretty wonderful. So I am totally on your page, and I miss you dramatically. And Mark, I really love you guys, and I'm so sorry that you're not sitting right here, but here we are, and
Yeah.
through the magic of whatever you want to call it, electricity and cyberspace
Mm.
here, and it's going to get more so. I think at some point I'll have goggles and you'll have goggles, and we'll be looking at each other as though we're just two inches away, and it'll be kind of extraordinary, but it won't be the same. It just won't be the same.
Hey, Bruce, Mark,
Yes.
and when you looked at the flower and you had that experience, would you say that you're meditating with the open eyes and connecting through that way
It was touch.
helped you with that process of seeing the flower?
When I started doing that, this is just a week or so ago, the flower hadn't bloomed. So it was just a stalk, but it spoke to me. I don't know why. It just spoke to me, and I touched it, and I just kept touching it, and it loved being touched. And so touch has emotional content to it. And I didn't know it also communicates something that was not verbal on any level, but it spoke back to me that it loved me, that it loved being touched, and it was thanking me. I mean, it was thanking me. And I felt so joyful that I started thanking it. And then every day I would walk through the room and I would just stop and touch it. As I said, I also touched all the other plants, some of which were prickly and some of which were not as enjoying the experience. But this guy really enjoyed it. And then just yesterday it went whoop, and it bloomed. And it was like, it was celebration, pure celebration. And today is Easter, which is all about rebirth and renewal and on every level. And it's celebrating in alignment with what's happening on the whole Christian planet, if you will. But for me, it's not any particular faith. The idea of regeneration, rebirth is so extraordinary, but to have it come at that moment on a plant going like that, and two more stalks are coming up. You know, it's going to be more than that. And they last a while and they fill me with joy. And I don't walk around and miss it. I get a hit every single time. And I get lots of hits now because there's so much in life that hits me, you know, in so many ways. Every bird at the bird feeder, you know, the squirrel, even though I have to fight him off the bird feeder, I still love the squirrels now. And, you know, it's life. It's just life. You know, we've had two geese that have chosen our pond as a place they want to spend their days. And, you know, they come and go, but they are magical. Life is, you know, when you turn off the news, you know, and you just go for a walk and you live the simplest kind of day-to-day existence, it has beauty in it. It also has, I'm sorry if I'm talking way too long, but it also has these moments of unbearable aloneness, of sadness, of depletion. And that comes from partly getting old and the mind starting to disconnect in many ways and not having agendas in the old days. Like that book is written, it's done. I don't have a book in front of me. And then I look at that and I go, well, how am I going to what do I do with my day? How does it fill itself up? And then this flower blooms. And then I get calls from people I love. And I go, oh, the universe is bringing, it's taking care of my needs. And it doesn't have to do with anything about production and doing and putting stuff out. It's just showing up. And that's all any of us have to do. We just have to be there. And then if you dialogue with the universe, it's got a lot of people to deal with, a lot of blades of grass out there, but the amazing miracle of the human journey is the infinite nature of the universe talks to you, particularly, specifically to you. I cannot tell you what that means when it happens. It's just like, and you will feel abandoned. Christ on the cross felt abandoned, but then he learned to care about the other, and this whole new journey began of, into your hands I commend my spirit. That's the true Christmas, Easter, and that's the true journey that we're all on, every one of us. We're not, one of us is different. It's just the difference is, are you aware of it while it's happening, or are you not? If you're not aware of it, you're missing out beyond understanding. And if you are aware of it, bow down and say thank you. That's my sense. Okay.
Mr. Bruce, Mr.
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
hi, I'm Emma from Athens.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
Hi, I'm so grateful that I found you.
Thank you. I'm the same.
I found you from the Next Level Soul. So I'm very grateful.
Oh,
I wanted to ask you, so when we do these sessions with you, we have our eyes open? Or
Yes.
because okay, because I had them closed and I was in that space of mind. Okay,
I was working with you and your eyes were
I
closed.
felt it. I
And
felt
I was,
it.
and I said in my mind, should I say something out loud? And the minute I said that in my head, you opened your eyes.
Yes.
It was like amazingly
Yes.
affirming, because I could feel you feel it
Yes.
and do it. So that
Yes.
to me is really part of the magic of all of this. I don't want to get
Yeah.
into the magic of it, but you felt it. This eyes open is where the energy gets transmitted. It doesn't like
Okay.
it now.
Okay.
So we're working with a still photograph of me or Rudy
Okay.
Nityananda is very valuable, but in the class, having eyes open is really important.
Okay, because I usually do my meditations with closed eyes, so I don't see
Yes.
so I don't see the construct. I don't see the external, so and then I can visualize, the space, and I
I'm
lose
not
myself
saying-
there.
I'm not saying don't do eyes closed meditation if that works for you, but if you want to do this work and come
This,
here,
yes, of
it
course.
has value. And if you practice, it really, it grows over the course of a lifetime and is very beautiful.
Actually, I was thinking about it because I saw your introduction, and then I said, but Mr. Bruce didn't tell me anything, so obviously it's okay. So I let them.
I don't remember what I said in the introduction. I hope I said eyes open.
No, I mean in the introduction when you sent us the video, so we
Yes.
know. I remember that you said, and then now I close my eyes, and then I said, Mr. Bruce probably would have told me, Emma, open your eyes or something. So I just stayed there, and then at the end, I realized that
You
I should have
did more. You connected to an inner voice that didn't have to speak out loud. That's a good thing. So,
Okay.
congratulations.
Anyway, I'm very precious that I met you. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Same. Is that it, guys? I know this has gone on and on. Thank you for showing up. Next week, in-person class in New York. And any of you who want to come to that, you're welcome to come. It just makes us a bigger canvas, and I'm still learning how to do that. On this, it's a lot of work, is all I can tell you. And I'm an 81-year-old guy, so it's a lot of work. But at the same time, I just do what I'm told, and it wants to serve anybody who appears here. So you will all be served. Nobody will walk away wanting. Nobody. And Jordy, you'll get the most. I really miss you, and I am just grateful to see you there. Love you. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for coming, and have a great week, and happy Easter.